This video is about how to calculate moles and molar mass. First, what is a mole? A mole is a unit of measurement that describes how much of a chemical substance you have. So to understand this, let's look at how we can communicate how much of a chemical substance we have. We have words like grams to communicate measurements of mass and milliliters to communicate measurements of capacity, but how do we communicate how many atoms of a chemical we have? You might think that chemists could just say, oh, I have 5 atoms of hydrogen. But it doesn't work that way. That's not practical to say in a lab, because chemists rarely ever deal with only 5 or 6 atoms of something. Do you want to know exactly how many atoms are in, say, 12 grams of carbon? That's 6.022 times 10 to the power of 23 atoms. That is way beyond trillions. So in the way that people like to say that they have 3 dozen eggs instead of 36 eggs, chemists just say that they have a mole of that substance. The word mole is like a short form instead of saying, I have trillions upon trillions upon trillions of atoms. So, a dozen represents 12. How many atoms does 1 mole represent? 1 mole is 6.022 times 10 to the power of 23 atoms. Does that number sound familiar? It should, because I just mentioned it to you. This is a very important number called Avogadro's number, and it is the number of atoms in 12 grams of carbon. Avogadro thought that this would be a good standard to go off of, and he chose carbon because of how widely available it is. So, by the same token, 12 grams of carbon is equal to 1 mole of carbon, because that much carbon has 6.022 times 10 to the power of 23 atoms. Now, let me tell you something really special. What I'm about to tell you is something you will be using throughout your chemistry class and even in the lab, and even more so if you choose a career in chemistry. 12 grams of carbon, if we look over here, is also equal to the atomic mass of carbon. That's the number you see on the periodic table. So, by Avogadro's discovery, these masses that we see here, at the bottom, their gram equivalents are equal to 1 mole of that element. So, for example, 16 grams of oxygen is equal to 1 mole of oxygen. So, these numbers that we see at the bottom of the periodic table are also called molar masses for that reason. So, the molar mass of carbon is 12 grams per mole. The molar mass of oxygen is 16 grams per mole. You will be doing a lot of calculations with molar mass in chemistry. And that is the mole concept. Thank you for watching and good luck studying.